Turning the most basic resources into legendary items sounds almost impossible, but there's a method that makes it a reality. Ordinary materials can be steadily upgraded step by step, revealing their hidden potential with each cycle. There is no need for rare ingredients or sprawling production lines, just a clever use of recycling and refinement. All it takes to unlock legendary quality from humble beginning is a recycler and quality modules. Let's take a closer look at the recycler. On the surface, it looks straightforward enough, 4 module slots, easy to set up, and only one module it doesn't accept, the efficiency module. But there's something else it does support that's far more interesting. Now, you might just think of recycling as a way to get rid of unwanted items, but what happens if you start experimenting with different modules inside? Well, if you try using quality modules, for example, things start to get interesting. Suddenly, you're not just recycling, you're rolling the dice for something better. Of course, this method isn't free. Whenever you recycle an item, you only get about a quarter of it back, leaving 3/4 lost forever. It sounds expensive, and it is. But sometimes chasing higher quality is worth the cost. So why not just build everything with quality in mind from the start? For example, say you want top tier red circuits, you could install quality modules everywhere: mining, smelting, assembling copper cables, green circuits, plastic, and red circuits. On paper, it's a more efficient way to get high quality items without all the losses from recycling. But the reality is more complicated. If you follow this path, you run into two big problems. First, your components become locked into single-purpose production lines. Your copper plates for red circuits can't easily be reused for something else, like green circuits, since their final quality is undecided until the end. And second, you end up creating a maze of separate production lines. In Factorio, assemblers can only craft an item of a certain quality using ingredients of that exact same quality. That means building and managing multiple parallel lines for every quality tier, for every intermediate product, 5 for smelting, 5 for cables, 5 for green circuits, 5 for plastic, and 5 for red circuits. It adds up fast and becomes difficult to manage at scale, at least as a first step. What is even worse is that if you forget about one quality, it might bring your whole factory to a halt because your machines won't be able to consume the resources on the belt and it will backlog. Trying to filter out and recycle all the items that don't meet your standards, that just adds even more complexity. But here's the twist: instead of chasing perfection throughout your entire factory, what if you focus on the source? By recycling base components like copper or iron ore and only splitting off items once they fit your target quality, you keep things simple and still get results. All it takes is a clever setup with a splitter or inserter, and suddenly the recycler becomes your secret weapon for quality, not just a dumping ground. So, how does quality actually get better when you use the recycler? It all comes down to the module you install. The recycler's performance is directly affected by the level and type of quality modules you put in, and by how many you use. For all the following calculation, we'll be using quality modules inside the recycler itself to improve the quality of the items we process. The recycler has 4 slots, so we'll always be using a full set of 4 modules per machine. Now, not all quality modules are equal. Each module comes in different qualities: normal, uncommon, rare, epic, and legendary. And the quality bonus they give actually changes based on which type you use. For example, a normal quality module gives a smaller bonus, while a legendary quality module provides the highest quality boost. To keep things straightforward, we're going to look at 2 main setups: recyclers loaded with 4 level 2 quality modules and recyclers with 4 level 3 quality modules. Within those, we'll compare the effects of different module qualities so you can see exactly how much impact your module choices have on your chances of getting legendary items. Now, it's important to note that quality modules do have a downside: they reduce the speed of whatever machine they're placed in. But here's the good news: this speed reduction is the same no matter which quality module tier you use, so you don't need to change your setup or your blueprints each time you swap out modules. The only thing that changes is the quality module you drop into the recycler. But how many recyclers do you actually need if you want to process items at full belt speed? For a blue belt carrying iron plates at 45 items per second, you need 23 recyclers running in parallel. If you upgrade to a green belt moving 60 items per second, you need 30 recyclers to keep up. This number can vary a bit depending on what recipe you're recycling, but for basic items like iron plates, these numbers will keep your setup running smoothly. Let's now get into the real numbers. Just how many items does it actually take to craft a legendary item using the recycler with quality modules? When you try to figure out how many items you need, there are a few important variables. The recycler yield. The recycler only keeps 25% of the resources every cycle. That means 3/4 of your items are lost each time you try to upgrade their quality. Only a quarter goes forwards for another role at a higher quality. The next variable is the quality rolls. Each time you recycle, you're not just getting a small chance to bump up by one quality rank, you can actually jump to any higher rank. But the odds get lower the higher you go, so yes, you could get a legendary item on the very first recycle, but it's far more likely you'll get something like uncommon or rare. Those lower quality items can then be recycled again, repeating the cycle until they're either lost in the 75% waste, or if you're lucky, upgraded all the way to legendary. And the last variable is the rising probabilities. Items that are already a higher quality have a better chance to become legendary than basic items do. So as you recycle and get better quality items, your odds for that legendary role actually improve. For this comparison, the setup stays exactly the same no matter what kind of quality modules you use. We'll be starting with 10,000 items and swapping out only the quality modules in the recycler. Let's start with level 2 quality modules. The quality bonus varies between 8% and 20%, depending on the quality of the module itself, and the impact is huge. With an 8% quality bonus, you'll only end up with 0.46 legendary items out of 10,000 items recycled. That's a probability of just 0.0046%, meaning it would take over 21,700 items to reliably craft just one legendary item. With a 20% quality bonus, your yield jumps to 2.3 legendary items, or 0.023% probability. Now it takes only 4,348 items per legendary. Now let's look at the level 3 quality modules. Here the bonus ranges from 10% to 24.8%. At 10% bonus, you'll get 0.68 legendary items out of 10,000 items recycled. That's a 0.0068% chance, so it would take roughly 14,700 items per legendary. At a 24.8% quality bonus, your yield jumps up to 3.6 legendary items, or a 0.036% chance per recycle. Suddenly, it only takes about 2,778 items for a single legendary item. So even though the quality bonus increased by about 2.5 times between the lowest and highest modules, your probability of getting legendary items increases by 5 times. That means you lose 5 times as many items if you stick with lower quality modules, even though the bonus difference is only 2.5 times. But what does this mean in practice? If you're aiming for legendary items, it's absolutely worth investing in higher quality modules in your recycler. The difference in efficiency is dramatic. The better your modules, the fewer resources you need, and the more likely you are to walk away with that shiny top tier item. So this raises the question, what's the real effect of improving your quality bonus? The answer isn't as simple as higher is always better. The relationship between quality and the cost to craft legendary item isn't linear. It's actually much more dramatic at the lower end. When you make a small improvement to your quality bonus at the lower tiers, the savings can be massive. For example, increasing your quality from just 8% to a 10.4% might not sound like much, but it can save you almost 8,000 items when you're aiming for a legendary. That's a huge difference, especially when resources are tight. But as you keep increasing your quality bonus, the cost saving starts to shrink. For instance, jumping from a 15.2% quality bonus to 20% is a much bigger upgrade, but in reality it only saves you just under 3,000 items. You get a higher quality bonus, but the cost benefit is much smaller compared to those early upgrades. What does this all mean for your factory? It means that those first quality upgrades are the most important. Even a small boost at the beginning can have a huge impact on how many resources you need to chase those legendary items. After a certain point though, the gains start to taper off, so focus on getting the early upgrades first and then decide if the extra investment is really worth it for those final few percentage points. And that's it for this video. If you found this helpful, don't forget to leave a like, subscribe, and let me know in the comments how you're using quality modules in your own world. Thanks for watching and see you soon.